Hey, I want to talk about how, there's people out there that they claim to believe in eternal security, but, they've never believed the gospel. And so, they think they're eternally secure for some other reason that has nothing to do with believing the gospel. And let me tell you something. Eternal security comes from believing the gospel. Okay? The glorious gospel of Jesus Christ, how he died for your sins. According to the scriptures, he was buried and rose again on the third day according to the scriptures. Okay? And the reason believers of the gospel are eternally secure is because Jesus Christ paid their sin debt in full. Okay? And, maybe you're watching this video and you might be thinking, wait, you're saying there's people that claim eternal security, but they don't believe the gospel? You're like, what do they believe in though? Or then, right? I'm going to give you 3 examples of types of people who claim to believe in eternal security, but reject the gospel, okay? But before I start, I do also want to mention, like the people that aren't saved that believe these three things, it's because they never believed the gospel, okay? If somebody's believed the gospel, but then got mixed up in some of these things I'm going to mention, they're saved because they believe the gospel. But I'm saying, like, if there's somebody in one of these 3 groups that have never believed the gospel of Jesus Christ, and they think their eternal security comes from something else, they're not saved, okay? So the first one's Calvinism. Calvinism, basically teaches you that you can't believe the gospel. You're just incapable of it. And so God has to force, a bunch of things on you. And that's going to result in you changing your life. And they think that the proof that they're saved is their changed life and their works. Okay. And so deep down, they're trusting in their own works. And look, that's not the gospel. Okay. The second group of people, and I believe it's called Universalism. Okay. If it's not, let me know. But there's people out there, and I've met them. Okay. That I have a neighbor that believes like this. Okay. There's a group of people that they believe that everybody is going to heaven no matter what. They think everybody's going to heaven no matter what, irregardless of what they believe, about the gospel, about Jesus, about anything at all, okay? And so by default, they think they're eternally secure. Now, not if you've never believed the gospel. Nope. Okay. Right. You need to believe the gospel to be saved. Okay. And once you're saved, which happens the moment you believe the gospel, then also what happens at that same moment is that you become eternally secure in Jesus Christ. You can't lose your salvation, okay? But you need to believe the gospel. You can't just assume you're going to heaven just because and just fill in the blank. No, you need to believe the gospel of Jesus Christ, okay? So, right, Calvinism's a fake eternal security. Universalism things is a fake eternal security, and this may surprise you, but there's even some Armenians that claim eternal security. Okay. Now, they're kind of sneaky about it, but basically they believe in it also kind of a form of perseverance of the saints. I've talked to some Armenians before where they claim that they're saved forever. And if you were to ask them, well, can any believer lose their salvation? They'll say yeah. And then you talk to them more, it's like, what do you and I say, well, how do you believe you could lose your salvation, but you also believe that you're eternally secure? And basically they'll give some response of they think, well, I'm eternally secure because, I don't sin anymore. Right? And look, that's not, first of all, you do sin, okay? But, so, they're trusting in like a perseverance of the saints kind of thing where they where they think they're persevering to the end, and that is going to, make them saved. But in their mind, they think that they stop sinning. So they think, of course, they're saved, right? But all the other people at their church, they're just a bunch of wicked devils, and they're not going to, and they just need to turn from all their sins. Yeah. So, especially, the third thing, watch out for that, because, like, for example, like, some people have told me, like, Pentecostals, or, that they've ran into, like, saved Pentecostals that are, like, still going to, like, the Church of God and stuff like that, and still going to those institutional churches. And let me tell you, I'm not saying they're not out there, but I've never heard of anybody getting saved inside one of those kinds of churches. And a bunch of Pentecostals I've run into told me that they're saved and that they don't believe they could lose their salvation. But if I were to ask them, okay, you don't believe you could lose your salvation, but, hypothetically, what would it take for somebody else to lose their salvation? And they would just blurt out, "Sam!" Okay, so yeah, that's not biblical eternal security. Okay, and you can't be so puffed up where you think that you're you just don't sin anymore. That's retarded. Okay, if you say you have no sin, you've deceived yourself, and the truth's not in you. Okay, it talks about that in 1 John. But, watch out for these 3 fake forms of eternal security that have nothing to do with believing on the gospel of Jesus Christ, right? Stupid Calvinism, this thing called, I think it's called Universalism. Again, let me know in the comment section if it's called something else. But that thing where people just think, just everybody's just going to heaven no matter what. No, that's not biblical. And the stupid, Armenians that some of them think they're eternally secure because they think they stop sinning. I mean, anyways, see ya.